Hello everybody. So I'm going to talk to you about footwear in HEMA because it's not really talked about that much and it's quite important. There aren't many videos out there talking about what to put on your feet when you're training. Now I'm going to be talking about training indoors and maybe outdoors on, say, tarmac or something similar to tarmac, like maybe AstroTurf. Okay, not going to HEMA events when you're in a field and dealing with mud and things like that. Okay, so way back when I started HEMA, I started wearing a pair of casual trainers. Okay, these are a pair of Skechers, and again, there's loads of different brands out there, thousands almost, of different types of trainers. Okay, and I started wearing these, and these were fine to start off with. Okay, if you're going to be starting to do HEMA, this is okay. All right, don't wear office shoes or heavy boots or anything like that. You want something you can move around in, and these are fairly light. Okay, you can get lighter options, which I'll talk about later. These are okay. You can have a bit of protection. Say if you've got a shin guard, hockey shin guards are very popular in the UK anyway, to protect your shins. And with the scoop out for the movement of the ankle, and you can easily wear these shin guards because most shin guards in hockey have ankle protection anyway, so you need that space there to move around. These are pretty good because they allow that. All right, the downside, okay, the fabric is made of canvas. It's not very breathable. The material itself may wear down over time. They're not meant to be used in such an aggressive manner. So the foam base of or the shoe itself will probably wear down as well. Okay, over time you'll find yourself slipping up, tripping, whatever. So they're okay, but I would move along to something else, and we have running shoes. Okay, so these are designed for a bit more wear and tear, a bit more movement. They do weigh very similar to these Skechers, because they're just an everyday running shoe. Okay, they are light, so they are designed for a little bit of not weighing you down in any manner. Okay, but the material is much breathable. You've got this sort of fabric that allows your feet to breathe. Okay, they have a solid base. It's okay. So when it comes to personal preference in HEMA, everybody's got their different sort of opinion, and you'll find HEMA medalists and people getting top marks in competition wearing an everyday trainer. Okay, so it's not necessarily going to improve your fencing a great deal, but it's going to help your footwork by quite a significant amount. But the bad side of wearing these running shoes is you become numb to the ground in a way because your foot isn't feeling the floor. It sounds strange, okay? But when you're running, so these are running shoes, you don't necessarily need to feel the ground that much. You need to have protection from the impact force, repetitive, especially on tarmac, which is, it's solid. It's not going to provide much cushioning compared to being on grass, where you've got the cushioning of the grass and the mud as well, which can actually, even on a hard ground that's not tarmac, can actually provide a fair bit of cushioning for your feet. So your body structure of your leg isn't built for such hard impacts. So the foam heel actually provides a bit of protection for that. Okay, so those are running shoes. I use these for years. They're really good. I do recommend them. Okay, and I recommend these for outdoors on tarmac because they have a bit more grip on them. All right, compared to these boxing shoes here. And the tread on them is good, and it allows a much more bite to the ground. Okay, especially if it's quite slippy. If it has just been raining the day before maybe, and the ground hasn't dried out, then you use these because you're less likely to slip up. Right. So these are good. Okay. moving on to what a lot of people use in the HEMA community these days when they get serious into sparring, okay, serious into learning, fencing and all that kind of stuff, is a pair of Lonsdale boxing boots, okay. There are a few variations of these, but they're extremely popular because they allow a lot of feeling of the ground, okay. In boxing, it's footwork is extremely important, and it's the same with fencing as well. Again, you've got this nice breathable material here, but you've also got the heel, the bottom here actually travels up towards the back of the heel there. That allows you grip when you tread down, to create movement. Well, just doing footwork in general, okay. Say if you're doing a lunge or something like that, that just helps with feeling the ground, placing your foot, and you're not going to like skid along the floor or anything like that, okay. So that provides a bit of grip. A fairly solid base is okay, but the tread on these Lonsdales are rubbish. I think they're awful. In a sports hall, you may even slip up. I've used these for a fair amount of time, and the grip on these are pretty much on the toe, worn down completely flat. All right. I do HEMA about 4 times a week, and that's just out of doing wear. I think these need to be a bit more durable, especially the prices you're paying for these. I haven't really talked about cost yet. These about £40, GBP, so anything Great British pounds. These I managed to get on deal, but they are roughly about £50 ish, not on sale. So it's a little bit more expensive. These are about, I think they were about, well, I'll put them up there, but I know that on Amazon, these are a lot cheaper than on the actual Lonsdale website. You can get these for about £50 on Amazon compared to, they're quite a bit more expensive on Lonsdale. Okay. But yeah, these are great. I definitely recommend them. Right. The interaction with your shin protection is a little bit different. Okay. I do have a pair of Spez shin guards here. I don't rate these very highly. I don't think you should be using these because they're not long enough. They don't provide side protection. It's just on the front, and this corrugated thing I think is ridiculous in a design anyway. And it sits about here. I'll put a video of me wearing these anyway. They sit about here, providing quite a bit of gap between your foot and your shin, and you may get hit in those gaps. It just happens. It's going to hurt a lot, and you could injure yourself. So I don't recommend those shin guards. You can use these, maybe these are very solid on the base here on these ankles, so it's going to restrict your movement because these are a boot. These this material gets in the way. You're going to have to put your feet way in there, and it's going to sit about there, and it's going to, when it's moving around, you're moving your feet about, there's going to be a lot of friction going on here, and I found that I was losing skin on the back of my ankle, so I don't recommend that. Okay. I recommend a pair of these type of field hockey shin guards instead, and you should just, because of these are made of textile at the bottom here, that gives you a lot better mobility, agility, whatever you want to call it. You're just going to have a much comfortable time moving about because of the fabric there. Okay. And they also have ankle protection just in case you get hit on the ankles. Okay, there's a bit of, I think about a bit of hard plastic on the inside there, and they also give you side protection as well. But overall, this Lonsdale boot, yeah, get these if you're going to start doing serious HEMA. Okay. The fact that these are also soleless, I haven't actually covered that yet. There is no sole. Okay, this is flat. So you're going to have a very good understanding of what the ground is, where you're placing your foot in any given moment. Okay, It's good to have that feeling of the ground because it improves your fencing, the feel of what you're doing as you're moving. Okay, so you don't need to worry too much about being numb to the ground where you are with these. With this, you have a good feeling of the ground. Okay, moving on to what I do use today. I use a pair of these Adidas wrestling boxing boots. Okay, now compared to these Lonsdale, has a very slight lower cut to the boot here. Similar materials that are used. I do feel that the base of the sole has a much durable material here. It's lasted a lot longer. I haven't used these terribly that long. Okay, so I am sort of, these are still on slight trial run, but they have done very well so far. These are soleless, so they're very flat and you can feel the ground very well. Okay, and it has much better grip. Okay, I can place my foot anywhere on an indoor court and I don't feel like I'm going to slip up anytime soon. Drawback is the fact that there is no sort of guard here to, as you're going forward, there's no scoop up to kind of protect the back, but it is quite hard on the base here, so you actually have quite a tight heel. I don't feel like you're going to slip up that much, so I'm not terribly worried about that. Also, comparing to the Lonsdales, there is less lacing. Okay, so these Lonsdales have a lot of loops for the lacing, which takes ages to put on and get it done right. These just have the average type of loops that you need. So I also have them finishing about here at the base of my foot. I don't have the lacing going all the way up the boot. There is also this strap, which is really useful because it gets everything nice and tight. Yeah, so I use these grays. I put the foot, I put the thing in here. Bear with me. Okay, so again, there will be a bit of footage of me actually wearing this. But you have protection on your shin here that goes way down. There is also protection of the tongue of the boot as well. And everything's nice and tight and fitted in. Okay, you don't want anything flapping about. All right, which I felt I had a little bit with these. So the tongue provides a little bit of protection on the very base of the foot. Okay, or no, very top of the foot. Sorry, towards where the shin is, because the scooping out, especially these greys, makes a little bit of a gap. That's fine. I mean, even historical greaves have this kind of gap because you need movement of the foot. All right, but I do feel that the tongue of the boot provides protection within that gap. Okay, so that's quite nice. And these Adidas ones provide that as well, but it also doesn't mean that tongue is going to be flapping about everywhere. Okay, so this is what I use now. So I use these indoors. These are very good. They're breathable. They've good material. Didn't cost that much. Talking about £45. So very affordable. And I very much recommend these to anybody who's doing HEMA. I also got a size up because I'm a size 11. I got these in size 11. Doing HEMA so much, I was injuring my toes. Almost like friction burn, constant. So I got a size 11 and a half, and that's provided a better fit for me, especially doing high impact, quite aggressive footwork. And yeah, this is where I finish at. These for indoors, these Adidas boxing wrestling shoes, and for outdoors, I use these tarmac shoes. Okay, these running shoes. Okay, so there are again loads of different products out there. Everybody's going to have a different opinion. This is what has worked for me. I will talk about this a little bit more in the future because I want to talk about shin protection for HEMA, and what you can do to provide protection around your lower leg. Okay, again, that's something that's quite varied, and everybody's got different opinions, different ways of protecting it. So it's quite interesting to talk about. I'm going to finish there. I hope you've learnt a little bit. A little bit of advice helps all the time. But I've been doing HEMA since 2017, so I haven't been doing it very long, long term wise. But I've been doing it enough to find out what works for me and how I can um, provide uh, decent knowledge to other people on what works and what doesn't. Okay, so yeah, I'll finish there. Hope you have a good one, and I shall see you guys on the next one. Cheers, folks.